Hey Sexy Boots, I wanted to talk to you about a new game I've been playing called Tera. I know I'm the last person you expect to be playing a mostly PvE game, but I gotta tell you the combat in this game is extremely fun. They call it true action combat. Basically you have to aim everything, kinda like a first person shooter, except with a bow. All I can say is like even killing PvE mobs is fun for me, but the few duels that I've done, wow. That is what I'm really looking forward to. They're extremely fun and challenging, and the really exciting part is that Tera's going to have guild versus guild and instance PvP in the future. Anyway, I wanted to give you all a quick overview of the archer class in Tera, see if it's something y'all might enjoy. So let's talk about some shots. The first shot we get to start out with is arrow. This is your bread and butter shot. It can be fired while moving, though there is a short animation delay that you'll need to keep in mind while kiting. The reason arrow is a bread and butter shot is because it rebuilds your MP, which is basically your action points. That's the blue bar under my help there. Arrow is also somewhat unique in that you can hold down the button and get continuous fire, as opposed to the typical press, release, fire routine. Although, out of habit, I use it the traditional way a lot. The range on arrow is 19 meters, but as with most of our shots, it does more damage the closer you are. Now personally, I don't like to get too close to the mobs because many of them have range abilities and some of the tougher ones can easily one-shot you. And of course, in PvP, many of the classes have really nasty gap-closing abilities. In PvP, I'm typically going to want to play a bit further out because of that, but it really depends on the class I'm fighting. With typical mobs in PvE, I generally try to stay in the 9 to 13 meter range when kiting. That avoids most of the ranged attacks, but gives me decent damage. But again, it really depends on the individual fights, and kinda how lazy I'm feeling. The second ability we get to start out with is called Backstep. This is exactly what it sounds like, a jump back out of melee. Unlike most of the abilities in Tera though, Backstep has almost no animation delay on it, so you can fluidly use this ability as part of your movement. It is on a 7-second traditional cooldown that starts the moment you push the button, and it'll move you 8 to 15 meters, depending on the hills, in the opposite direction your crosshairs are facing. Because this ability is based on the direction your crosshairs are facing, not your target's position nor your avatar's facing, you can use it for a lot more than just getting out of melee. With some practice at flipping the direction your crosshairs are facing with the mouse before pressing the button, you can pretty much go anywhere you want, even behind what you're fighting. It is well worth the time to practice using Backstep as a movement and positioning tool, because as we all know, it is so important with the archer classes. At level 2 we can learn arrow volley. This is an awesome ability with a unique lock-on targeting feature that lets you hit up to 5 targets. Using this ability is a 2-push process. You push the ability keybind, then sweep your mouse over the targets you want to hit. Then you release it using either the spacebar, left mouse button click, or tap the ability button again. It takes a little bit of practice, but once you get the hang of it, it is a great tool for kiting. Just keep in mind that there is a short animation delay when you release it. You can lock onto your targets while moving, and you don't have to be facing your targets when you release it. You can even fire this puppy off over your shoulder. Locked-in targets can also be held for a bit, so you can lock onto more targets, or gain a little ground if you need to. The range on volley is 18 meters, and while you can lock on the targets at around 20 to 22 meters, only those within 18 meters when you release it are going to be hit. So you want to keep that in mind as well. At level 4 we can learn penetrating arrow. This is a big gun shot that can hit up to 10 targets in a line, up to 18 meters away. You build up a charge on this shot to do more damage by holding down the button. It costs you more MP at each tick of the build-up, and later on, if you overcharge it, it actually does damage to you. However, you can fire this ability off at any charge level you like, and you can even hold it at charge for a bit before it auto-fires on you. In addition to having stand still while this ability is charging up, there's also a short animation delay on firing that you'll want to keep in mind while kiting. And also, because at level 16 you gain the ability to charge the shot up while moving, though at half speed. Now there's a glyph at 20 that removes that movement speed penalty, but we're going to talk about glyphs more in depth later. You'll want to watch using penetrating arrow in closer ranges. If the mobs hit you, it can interrupt your charge up, no damage, and you lose all the MP. Just wanted to give you a quick note on kiting in this game. Your camera and your targeting is on your mouse, and your movement buttons are on the keyboard, so they're a lot more independent than in other games. One of the great things about this movement and targeting independence for the archer in particular is that if you hold down your back movement key, you can rotate your camera with the mouse to keep the enemy in your crosshairs and continue to shoot them. Makes kiting a lot easier. While telling you all the basics plus tips and tricks about each ability is all well and good, I think it's also nice to see how everything can be tied together in an actual fight. So this is one of the first tough mobs you run into on Tera. You may have noticed that I let him get into melee range a few times. With most mobs, you can get into range and trigger their melee abilities, usually entailing an animation delay. This gives you time to charge up your big damage abilities or gain a little ground. At level 6 we can learn Slow Trap. This is a drop and go ability that must be stepped on to trigger. When the trap is triggered, it creates a fairly large circle that will slow targets inside it by 70% for around 5 seconds or so. This is great for gaining some ground, as well as for slowing a target or targets down enough for you to get off a penetrating arrow or other ability with an animation delay. Just watch the short animation delay when you drop it, as well as the AoE pool. So it'll aggro everything around the trap when you drop it, in addition to any who happen to be in the AoE pool when it triggers. Honestly, the AoE aggro issue likely won't be a big deal. It's only on the Isle of Dawn that mobs don't aggro on you based on distance. As a quick note, the black exclamation point that appears over the mob's head is a notification that the mob is aggroing on you. Sometimes you can avoid them attacking you, but once that red health bar appears, they're going to attack. Alright, enough messing with these little guys. Time for another fight. This is the second tough guy you'll run into on the Isle of Dawn. At level 8 we can learn Close Quarters. This is our melee attack ability. Not only has an AoE arc component to it, but you can push the ability button twice in a row, within 8 seconds or so, and get 2 attacks off, with the second having a chance to stun your target on hit. That's the little stars over the mob's head. You'll want to keep in mind that this ability has a forward motion to it, so if you don't plan it right, you'll hit with the first, but the second will miss, and that's a waste of MP and can put you in a bad position when you miss your stun. Okay, I think it's time for another fight. This one's actually kind of funny. I was doing my mob killing for the PvE quest and ended up aggroing one of the tough guys. The only one on the entire island of Dawn that aggro's based on range. Totally forgot he was back there.
Oh, as a note, do you see the yellow question mark that just appeared over the Kurgan's head? That's a notification that he's about to tether. I'm gonna go ahead and let him go so that I can concentrate on the big guy here.
Alright, sexy dudes, I've leveled up the Isle of Dawn here, and I think that's a good place to stop for this video. However, I wanted to touch on weapon and armor crystals real quick though. These are used to customize your gear and do things like give you more wounds or MP, increase your crit chance on knockdown opponents, increase your damage against other players, and it even lets you regenerate your MP and HP over time. When you look at your character window, you see these slots next to your weapon and chest piece. These are the crystal slots. Individual weapon and chest piece you are wearing determines how many crystals you can add to them, as well as what level crystals it can hold. Typically, the stuff you get on Isle of Dawn, 2 crystal slots, first level crystals. Anyway, in Tower Base, the main city on Isle of Dawn, you can find this at Ayana. She runs the specialty store, and their crystals are better than the crystal merchants from what I've seen so far. Put the crystals on just like anything else, drag and drop in the slot, right click them from your bag. One thing to keep in mind is when you get new gear, you can take the crystals that you bought off and put them on your new stuff. Take them off, same situation. There's also crystals for your earrings and rings later on.
Okay, that's all I have for you right now. I'll get the next video out detailing more archer abilities as soon as I can. In the meantime, I've included some links in the description for this video to give you an overview of the other archer abilities and where to find more information about Tera. I thought I'd leave you with the final instance fight on the Isle of Dawn. Not sure I'd quite call this guy a big-ass monster, but he's got a lot of health and he hits pretty hard, so I think he qualifies as a boss nonetheless. The real BAMs come later on, around level 20 or so if I remember right. I'll likely get to them in my next video. Enjoy!